Before Brenda came, we are a regular family, like normal and a very active life. We always want to have a girl, a big family, and we already have 2 boys. I had a bleeding at the 12th week. His sister, she told me, you know what, go to another doctor. That was the moment when they made the first ultrasound. They told me that I'm going to have a girl, but something is going on. They asked me if I was ready to go to Tufts the same day.
I met Luisa and we sat down and went over the scans, and she told me her whole story of her other children and always wanted a daughter, and this was that daughter. The findings that I saw on the scan, I was pretty confident that her brain looked normal and that she would probably be a totally normal child. And we had a fetal MRI to follow that would help affirm if that were the case. And she'd had other testing through our maternal fetal medicine colleagues. But it was also very clear that this was a very big mass, but within that was potentially a completely normal little girl.
The happy moment is that she's a girl. She was fine at this moment, but we're going to have a lot of complications. I didn't know about the lymphatic malformation.
Being able to see that problem, work with maternal fetal medicine, we planned her procedure, which is called an exit procedure. The mother has a cesarean section under general anesthesia, and that's not commonly done, but you plan to do that in this case. And through doing that, it puts the baby under general anesthesia as well through the maternal circulation, through the placenta. The obstetricians then perform the cesarean section, and before the baby can come out of the uterus, they just deliver an arm. And then the pediatric anesthesia staff will paralyze the baby through an injection. That keeps the child from taking their first breath. And as long as they don't take their first breath, they stay on cardiopulmonary bypass provided by mom. And then you have time to do whatever you need to do to safely deliver that child. To adequately plan for this, we did a dress rehearsal because there are many parties involved. You need to have pediatric surgeons or cardiothoracic surgeons on backup for ECMO, where you can do bypass should you not be able to get the airway, so they were there and available. And another pediatric otolaryngologist there, because 2 heads are better than 1. A whole team of nurses, 2 operating rooms.
I felt worried about in the beginning, but with the support of the Tufts Medical, they made me feel safe and secure. So they had a good team and they explained every process. They were part of my family too.
We found out we were pregnant actually on the day after St. Patrick's Day. He couldn't believe it.
Jill was right on top of it with the tests, with asking the right questions.
This is my 13th year teaching, and I was finishing up my master's. I had awkward headaches, and I was like, oh, this is heat related. And he actually had to come pick me up because I threw up. And I had this worse, it was like in the back of my neck. We went home, and I just slept, and when I woke up, I couldn't see. I knew my eyes were working, but I didn't know that,
She said to me, hey, take me to the ER. She's never asked me to do that before, so I knew something was wrong. She said, hey, time to get up. All right, let's go. Let's get going. She's staring right at me. She goes, Tim, I can't see you. And her left arm shoots out straight, and then she goes right into a seizure, right in front of me.
Never had one in my life before.
And any training, anything that I had done prior to, went right out the window. Grab the phone, I call 911. My wife, she's 6 months pregnant with my son. She just had a seizure right in front of me. I'm with her right now. I need you guys here. And I can hear the sirens coming in the background. Then there were 2 female paramedics that showed up, and then I explained what was going on, and it was almost like, we need to leave now. Stop trying to fix a seizure. We know what this is. And they got her immediately on the gurney, and off we were to Lowell General. When we got to the ER, automatically, the CT scan was the first thing that she was going down for. The OB was in there, was talking to her, and after going over the sequence of events, he's explaining that this is probably eclampsia and that the treatment at this point is delivery. And I'm sitting there going, well, what do you mean delivery? He's 27 weeks. I mean, what's going on here? And the ER doc then comes in. Hey, by the way, you have a brain bleed. I'm getting him to the best care that I can as quickly as I can.
We had a very quick thinking emergency room physician at one of our community partners. He had the foresight to med flight her. So when she arrived with us, she was quite ill and had suffered a stroke in pregnancy, which is certainly on the rare side and not something that a lot of hospitals will see. She had an additional complication where the placenta separated from the wall of the uterus, and the baby was in jeopardy of imminently dying unless delivered. It needed to be done as rapidly as possible to, number one, help the baby arrive into the world safely and get to the ICU as quickly as possible, but also get Jillian, mom, up to her ICU and start her on the road to recovery and treatment for her stroke and control of her blood pressures.
She was ill, the baby was ill. He just was very fragile. And then we just had to keep him stable as she got better and then allow her to become part of his care.
She had the procedure on the day we'd planned. We had 2 operating rooms next to one another, one for the baby and one for mom. It went flawlessly, honestly, and I think because of all of the planning.
We just had to orchestrate it so the baby went right from the C-section right into the room, and the trach was placed immediately. To maintain her being ventilated with the trach in, it was a huge, huge responsibility.
When I wake up after the surgery, I went there to the NICU. She was there. I was like, oh my God, this is my baby. I cannot believe it. Brenda was in NICU almost 2 months, 55 days she was there.
So the odds were really stacked against Thomas, but he is good. He got his blessing from cardiology. He's doing great, and he's thriving and kicking and rolling over now. Okay. In regards to me, my heart murmur has gone away. My brain bleed has healed for the most part. It took about 4 months. Neurologically, I'm still getting there. For a while, I had trouble with ward retrieval. I haven't had a seizure since because it was pregnancy related, and I'm still kind of dealing with some of the more emotional, mental health side of it, processing all of it, I'll say.
So the outcome for Jillian and Thomas has been excellent. It's the best that we can hope for with a baby who's born at 28 weeks and with a mom who's had a stroke in pregnancy. Thomas is doing wonderful. Jillian is a school teacher. She's doing well with no deficits. She has excellent care from cardiology here and neurology.
I like to keep them involved with the services outpatient, the early intervention, so that they can make sure they're meeting their milestones. And I think that he's going to do very well.
Big priority at the beginning was to find what we needed to do to remove tissue and to treat the lymphatic malformations so that we could get those tubes out and get Brenda talking and eating and doing all the things that a child needs to do when they're a baby and a toddler. Brenda can run around and she can go on a play date and she doesn't need a nurse around, and it's no longer sort of a tenuous, frightening situation.
I've watched them over the years go home with a trach to having full-time nursing care, and to just see her today as a playful, almost 4-year-old, it just fills your heart. It's the most rewarding part of my job.